Hi guys, welcome back to yet another review. This time around I'm bringing you the latest from TRN, the StarFish. This is a 12mm single DD. It's an in-house developed driver according to them, beryllium coated diaphragm, and it continues, it continues a hype that I guess you could say TRN has had lately. The number of IEMs that TRN, as we know, is vast. They've had times where some of their products have been acceptable. They've had other times where the products have been absolute disasters. But lately, and I would say from around the time of the MT5, probably MT3, MT5, which were also single dynamics, and then the Conch, which I've got here on the right hand side, they've basically been on a roll. So I mean, be it the Conch, which I have there, be it the Medusa, which I have here on the left hand side, be it now the StarFish in terms of their single DDs, and then if we go into their hybrids and tribrids, be it the White Tiger, the VX Pro Plus, the Shell, the Jaws, to a certain extent as well. I guess you could throw into that equation the ST7. The reality is that TRN has had some pretty interesting IEMs, and like I said, the one that I have here today for you guys, which is the StarFish, is no exception. As I was saying, look, in terms of the accessories and so on and so forth, I'm not going to go into too much into that. I will say that it does bring the nice TRN tips. It does bring this nice modular cable that we've seen before being used. The only thing that's missing really is the case, which would have been nice. I mean, this is $35, $40 more or less. So the case would have been cool to have been included. But anyway, that's not really the problem. As for the IEM itself, the shell is a kind of a high quality plastic resin shell. I would say plastic more than resin. It's got a metal faceplate with the motif of the starfish. I mean, it's nice. I guess it could have been done in a little bit more elaborate manner. But this whole series of TRN lately, or this whole let's say design that they've had, has been has been pretty successful overall. As for the fit, it fits beautifully, no issues there. It's not a heavy IM. It's got a good design ergonomically, so it fits beautifully. I'm using the KB Aero 7 tips, as you guys have probably already noticed. Not that the TRN tips didn't work fine, they worked fine, but I just prefer the overall performance of the KB ears. Anyway, to better position here the Starfish, I brought out two other models, which are the ones that make the most sense ultimately, which is the Conch and which is the Medusa. The Medusa also uses a 12mm driver, but it's a DLC driver. The Conch uses a 10mm, also DLC. The Conch does have added extra to these two, which is the exchangeable nozzles. And I think I can confidently say the Conch is one of the best IEMs under $100 in terms of single DDs. When you factor in the several things that should be factored in: build quality, overall accessories, everything, it is one of the best without a doubt. And especially when you consider that this can be had sometimes as low as $25. You're gonna be very hard pressed to find anything that can outright beat it. I mean, fair enough, yes, we've got the 1 year 2, we've got the 02 from 7 hertz, the Tripone, the Vivace. There's a whole bunch of very solidly tuned single DD IEMs, and I mean the DLC, the Keyfinder, the Delchi. So there's no lack of really good IEMs under let's say that $50 price point. There's plenty of options, but when I say that this is the best under $100, it's true. It is. Even considering its minor nitpicks that it might have, when you again take into account its price, there's very little or nothing that you can fault. That's the reality. Anyway, let's talk here about the Starfish, which is what we want to know. These three have got three different tuning styles, and I think that is important so that we can straight away figure out what these IEMs or who these IEMs were intended for. Um, how can let me just get the other graphs. Let's I guess I'm going to start here with the Conch, which is probably the best. The Conch, by virtue of its exchangeable nozzles, it's the one that will probably be the most neutral. Okay, it's the one that will have the tuning which will be the most versatile and that will please the most people, especially because those nozzles do affect the way that the IEM is tuned. And I guess when I compare it with the Medusa and with the StarFish, it's the one that does the most things well, let's put it that way. Okay, the Medusa, on the opposite end of things, and by virtue of again only having one tuning done to it, it's probably the one that's going to be the most intense, the brightest, and it's only controlled by the fact that it's a 12mm driver. But the truth is this: I mean, the Medusa has got plenty of energy in that mid to upper mids area, which on occasion, and with certain genres, can be just a little bit over the top, just a little bit excessive. And that ultimately led me to do a little bit of my own retuning, and I retuned it to this one that's over here on the left. And this, honestly, without detracting anything away from the stock Medusa and with the intention of the stock Medusa, I think this should have been the tuning that they should have opted for the Medusa. And I think if this had been the tuning adopted by TRN for the Medusa, it would have been way more successful, way more successful. I think the biggest drawback on the Medusa was the fact precisely that it had that area there between 2 and 4K, a little bit overly intense, and it's with certain female vocals, with certain instruments, it just was a little bit too much. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have now the StarFish. The StarFish, again, by virtue of only having one single tuning, because the nozzles are obviously not exchangeable, and they're using the Beryllium driver, which must, and this is a care that should be taken always, depending on what type of driver you use, you must adjust the tuning accordingly, otherwise you're gonna get a mess. Okay, but the way they tuned here the Beryllium driver, I think was smart, in that they've given it just enough energy for it to have enough sparkle, but comparatively to the Medusa and to the Conch, it's not as detailed up top especially. So it's going to be the one that's the darkest sounding out of the three, without question. So in a nutshell, we can say that this is the most intense or the most brightest sounding one. This is the darkest sounding one, and this is like the in-between. Okay, and ultimately, because it's got those exchangeable nozzles, it's the one that makes the most sense. And so jumping ahead a little bit here, unfortunately, which I didn't want to do that, but you'll understand why I'm going to do it. The StarFish, although it's a very nice single DD, no questions there, it becomes victim of its own in-house, let's say, siblings. I'm not even going to bother comparing it with other IEMs, because in terms of this sort of price, an IEM of 12mm, other brands that make it, very few. The BQ10 from BQ is one that comes to mind, and there was a model as well from KZ, but the KZ was nowhere near as competent as either the StarFish or the Medusa. So the StarFish becomes victim of having internally an IEM which just ticks more boxes, and that IEM is the Conch. I don't want to sound like I'm spoiling things for TRN, but this is the reality. I think the StarFish, for it to have made more sense, it should have had a full metal shell, and it should have had exchangeable nozzles. And then perhaps because of the exchangeable nozzles and the possibility of alternative tunings, then the StarFish would have had, or would make more sense. You could still keep it as a more darker sounding IEM in one of the tunings, but then allow it to have other alternative tunings that would make justice to the Beryllium driver, and then position the StarFish as an IEM within the range that, yes, okay, maybe you can have the Conch, or you you can have the StarFish as an alternative. As it stands, honestly, it's a pity because it falls victim of its own siblings. That's all. That's it. Breaking it down now more a little bit in terms of sound. Bass, really good bass. I mean, 12 millimeters, guys, there's gonna be loads of bass, and it's a high quality bass, so the driver definitely is a good quality driver. So there's loads of bass there. It's clean, it's detailed, doesn't really bleed into the mids or anything of the sort. Yes, the presentation, as I mentioned, is a darker presentation. I mean, it is what it is because of the fact that we have so much bass, and then the way that the mids, upper mids, and treble have been tuned is a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more pushed back. Male vocals, I think, are going to be the ones that shine. This is an IEM that I think as well will shine and will do very well with rock music. In terms of female vocals, there are occasions where I would have liked a little bit more detail, a little bit more twinkle and sparkle, but nothing that, you know, not a deal breaker by any means of by any measure. In terms of extension past 10K, not as much as I would have liked. But enough for it to have a decent soundstage, decent imaging. Those are definitely not the biggest technical capabilities of the StarFish, and comparatively to the Medusa is superior. Better soundstage, bigger, more spacious, better imaging. The characteristic here on the StarFish that makes it shine in terms of its technical abilities will definitely be the timbre and the tonality. The timbre and tonality is very nice. It is very nice. So a testament that they really took care to make sure that Beryllium driver was doing what it should be doing without showcasing the negative aspects of a Beryllium coated driver. And that, guys, in a nutshell, that's basically it. It's a nice IEM. It's not priced out of context. The only thing I would have liked in terms of accessories would have been the case. It could have been done. I mean, if they do it for the Conch, they could do it here. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing that I would have liked, honestly, I really would have liked, is if they had used a metal shell like they used like they use in the oh my god, what a blank I had now, a shell like they use in the White Tiger, or in the shell, a metal shell that would enable it to have exchangeable nozzles, and then by having the exchangeable nozzles you would confer the StarFish more versatility, so it would kind of, you could almost think of it as it could have kind of had become a bigger brother to the Conch. But the way it is with its single tuning available, yes, it will have, I guess, people that like the more darker, warmer, more organic type of tonality will probably go for this. Those that like a more clinical type of presentation with a little bit more detail will probably go for the Medusa, and those that want a good all-rounder that does both of these tuning styles or design premise as well, and has the added versatility of you actually being able to change from one and the other depending on your mood, is the Conch. And guys, and that's basically it. There's really not much more that I can say. Okay, let me just show you the graphs quickly and we'll wrap it up. Alrighty, so let's talk graphs now. Okay, straight away, this is the graph of the StarFish. As you can see, great big bass. I mean, we're talking about a gain in the bass which is roughly 10 dBs. The pinna gain is a little bit less. Pinna gain is about 8 roughly. Definitely by taking that point there of 100 Hertz and seeing where it corresponds, the bass is going to be the emphasis. I mean, it is a 12mm driver, so although there's kind of a nice balance visually, it is a tendentially warmer type of sound. Not much extension past 10K, as you can see, enough, but a little bit more would have been nice. That's the truth. Ultimately, look, it's a Beryllium driver, and I think they did the right thing to tune it this way so that it didn't shout, it didn't become aggressive or anything of the sort. As for the Medusa, that's the Medusa, and you can see straight away what I mentioned about the Medusa having a lot more energy up in the mids, upper mids and treble, especially past 10K. There's loads more energy. So these two are extremes. They are complements to each other. Darker, more organic, more old school type of sound on the StarFish, a more clinical, more detailed, focused sound on the Medusa. As for the Conch, that's the blue line that I've just placed. As you can see, the Conch kind of sits in between the two of them. It kind of has the same sort of bass. Obviously, it's not as prominent as the bass of either of the other two because it's a 10mm driver. But plenty of detail up top. Let me just take away here quickly. Plenty of detail past 10k, very nicely executed mids, upper mids and treble. I mean, honestly, the Conch is without a doubt, a hidden gem in this budget realm. And again, I will repeat, one of the best sub $100 IEMs. It is, you know, it is an IEM that trades blows easily with the likes of the HiFi Clean, which is another budget monster, another IEM that is in the lower segment of, you know, wreaks havoc, because it is a really good IEM. I would say, I would ultimately, look, I'll be very blunt. For me, the two best budget or the best three budget IEMs are the HiFi Clean, the Conch, and the Vivace. Those are the three, the Triple and the Vivace. Those are the three best sub, let's say, $35 IEMs. There are others which are very competent, but what these three offer is really, it's really above the average of what you are expecting, and trades blows with IEMs which are significantly more expensive. I mean, if we took the tuning of the Conch here, and we took it back 5-6 years ago to the time of things like the KXXS and the Starfield and so on and so forth, honestly, it would be trading blows with those IEMs easily. Anyway, guys, this is my take here on the, oh, just for sake of comparison, I did say I did a little retune on the Medusa. Okay, so this is the stock Medusa, and this is my retuned Medusa. Okay, and my retuned Medusa basically becomes a Conch, and what that means is it's phenomenal. It sounds absolutely incredible. But anyway, what is important here, or what is the reason for our review here, is the StarFish. Nice IEM, well done, well, you know, basically they've done all the right things. I just wish they had paid a little extra attention to what I just mentioned, and I think that they could have definitely had a winner. Hey, who knows, maybe they are planning something like that, and this was just a way of filling out the market, seeing what the reaction was, and maybe they will launch a single DD which is more expensive, that does have all of the things that I just mentioned, the exchangeable nozzles, a full metal shell. Hey, you never know. Alright guys, like and subscribe. Take care now. Bye bye.